to do and all good stuff.
Yes, yes. Huh. Microphone check. 1 2 1 2. This is the Blaze the Lion podcast. I am your host, Blaze. Blaze the Lion. Blaze the Machine. Though sometimes I don't feel that way. In case. If you're watching right now, we are live on Facebook. We are live on iSquad TV. And we are live on YouTube at the Blaze the Lion podcast. So for those watching right now, I need you to do me a favor. Yes, a favor already. You may not know who I am or know me very well. And you're saying, he's already asking for a favor. We're only 30 seconds in, but just listen. I need 2 favors. First favor is subscribe. Subscribe to this channel, the Blaze the Lion podcast. Every month, every week, we bring you different guests, different themes, all sorts of information, good content, self-development. We bring you, last year we brought you vegan chefs all month. We brought you doctors all month. Mental health is coming up in May. We have so much in store. So subscribe to the channel. Also, hit that like button, like this particular episode. This is episode 62. We're getting there. Almost at 100, sort of. All right. Also, if you are loving the movement and you want to support, I will gladly take some of your money. From as little as $1 per month is the first tier, $5 is the second tier, and $10 is the third tier. And you get access to new content coming soon. We have Blaze the Lion podcast shirts, which I'm not wearing, but I was wearing last week, for those who caught it. We have shirts available. We also have different workbooks and webinars coming soon. All right. So be part of the movement. Stay down with the team. For those listening and you can't see at the bottom, you can go to anchor.fm/Blaze the Lion/support. Indeed. We got to pay some bills. So big shout to our sponsor, Star Child Social, for all your digital marketing needs, whether it's branding, whether it's web design, whether it's just you as a business, promotion, logos, website, all of that. All right. If you're not sure where to go and where to turn, especially in the midst of this ever-changing world, technology, all right, go to starchildsocial.com. Tell them Blaze sent you. Get a high five for that. All right. Tonight's guest is someone that I feel that he's been in movies. Doesn't he have that face? He has that face. I feel that he's been on the big screen and he's just being humble. Maybe. Tonight's guest is someone who's been in the business, I'm going to say at least for 2 decades, if not more. Someone who has a wealth of knowledge in fitness, in health, in performance. It's not just about getting up and going to the gym and doing some bicep curls. There's a lot to it. It's a lot more to it than just ODing on protein. All right, this guy has so much knowledge here. He puts in the work. It's someone who has his own facility out there in Boca, IHP, High Performance. I got the opportunity many years ago to sample this facility and just to tap into a little bit of his knowledge, of his expertise. Tonight, this month's theme in March is athletes. So this is season 3, and it's the first episode for this theme. We're focused on athletes and coaches for the month of March. So I figured, what better way to kick off our theme than with the man himself, none other than JC Santana, welcome to the pod.
Thank you, my brother. Thank you. The couple of decades extends to 4.5 decades.
Ooh, but
Because
you
I'm
look like you're
62.
35.
No, baby, I'm 62.
I don't see any facial hair. 35.
Well, no facial hair because we met to have no facial hair. No, I've been, as a youngster at 12, I started lifting, but I managed my first gym at 15, Brody's Gym in Miami, North River Drive. And 22nd, for those that are near Miami, you know what I'm talking about. And of course, I competed as an athlete till I was 46. From the time I was about 13 to the time I was 46. And I started personal training in 1979. By that time, at that time, there was no personal training per se. There was no certifications that phrase didn't exist. It was fitness instructors or floor instructors that they called them at the time. And that was the way you went into a gym. You were responsible to clean the weights, put the weights away, clean the bathrooms, check the front, check the outside front for debris and stuff like that.
Clean the bathrooms?
Excuse me?
You had to clean the bathrooms?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah. Wait, when you were a floor instructor, you took care of the floor. And I mean the floor. And of course, if anybody asked you, what do I do for my biceps? You had to know what the biceps were and know 3 or 4 exercises. Back then, it was kind of easy because we were just getting Universal In. Universal In became popular more in the early 70s, although it was developed in the 60s, like Nautilus and whatnot. But Brody's Gym was pure metal, man. It was dumbbells, barbells. We got our first Universal In, which was, I think, like an 8-station Universal. That was the only machine it had. And that was in 1974 that we got that. So yeah, I've been doing this for 4 decades and some change. Yeah, man.
I wasn't even born in 1979.
And I mean, I was studying because at that time the magazines, the equivalent of Muscle and Fitness and whatnot, muscular development and whatnot, that was the only source of education as to what Arnold was doing, Franco Columbu was doing. I had the fortunate luck of being taken under the wings of the likes of George Navarrete, which at that time was Mr. Florida and Mr. America, George Prince, who was Southeastern United States and still involved with bodybuilding. So imagine I'm a 14, 15-year-old, and these bodybuilders that are in their early 20s, mid 20s are taking me under their wings. I mean, so I got a real education. By the time I was 17, I was a savant with the weight training and competing in wrestling at that time. And, the history goes on from there. 2 decades is what IHP has been open.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, 21 years this year. We were one location. We're the oldest gym in Boca Raton.
Huh.
So we've withstood the wrath of time, economic despair, political turmoil, and now world events that are going on. So IHP has seen everything and survived it all.
Yeah, because think about it. We had the recession, 2008, right? 2009.
Brother, I opened in April. Okay, 2001 now. What happens in September?
Oh, yeah, 9/11.
Yeah. And 3 weeks after that happened, I was traveling to San Francisco for a seminar. Needless to say, the airports were empty.
Yeah.
Empty. The aircraft that we were on maybe had 10 people, 15 people. So we've seen it all. We've seen it all. Wars, depression, recessions, everything. And we're still there.
Still there. Still
because
going.
the places, I didn't call it the Mecca of functional training for nothing. It's my church. It's a special place. When you go in there, there's an energy that you feel. Because as you say, this is not about athletics. It's beyond athletics. And the way we see training is beyond the physical. Okay, because the transformation that people go through in any gym, but especially IHP, because it happens in any gym by coincidence, by default. With us, it's programmed and it's purposefully taught. You don't The only way you can overcome a physical challenge is through a spiritual transformation, because you have to do something with that pain, the sensation that you feel. So people define the sensation, the lack of oxygen, the muscle burning, all that different ways. Okay. We have a very specific way that we teach it. We have a very specific way for the explanation of the process. So that allows us to get a transformation that is more purposeful, deeper, and faster. And that will improve the life of a housewife, a professional woman or professional man. It'll certainly help you raise a child.
Hmm.
Okay. And it, of course, when that happens, the athletic prowess is automatically enhanced. So, if you would like to talk about that a little deeper, I'd be more than happy to take you through the purposeful type of training, spiritual training that IHP is involved in.
There's so much that I would like to touch on because one, you are a wealth of knowledge. Also, you have such intense positive energy that I know for sure fitness is not just the aesthetics, right? It's emotional, it's spiritual. There's, as you mentioned, IHP is like your church,
Mm-hmm.
right? So tap into a little bit, share with us a little bit of just the journeys, the stories that you've seen from the stay-at-home moms to the athletes, the international athletes, tapping into that emotional, that that spiritual element.
Well, notice as you're talking how you're trying to find words, because you know what you feel.
Mm-hmm.
You know what you're trying to bring out, and you're trying to find the right phrasing and the right words to express. Well, at IHP, we give you the words
Mm.
because we have a method of teaching it, and I'm going to run you through it. We call it spirit emotional, because it's spirit, it's emotion, the psychological, and it's motion, the physical.
Ah.
So it's a triangle, spirit emotional triangle. All right. So let's step back. Personal trainers, or training in general, is a form of prayer. It's the way we see it. Okay. And it's got a mechanism by which prayer works, which is the evolution, the spiritual evolution. What does that mean? First of all, we have to see what that means. And I'm a simple man. I try to make things very simple. Spiritual evolution is the ability to adapt, okay, with calm and peace to any situation. Okay, which means you're free of envy, you're free of remorse, you're free of elation, and you're free of despair. You are neutral, because when you love something, on the opposite side, you have already created what you hate. When you hate something, you've already created what you love on the other side.
Mm.
So the one way to not respond to hatred or love, because that elation can be terrible for a fighter, because you get overzealous.
Yeah.
That elation can be terrible in the decision making, because you can be emotionally guided to a decision that is not logical.
Mm-hmm.
So elation and happiness and overabundant joy is not always appropriate. So we teach, it is what it is. We teach a neutral. It's not good. It's not bad. It's not hard. It's not easy. It is.
Mm.
Period. Eckhart Tolle, the now, and all the big guns in the spiritual world talk about the moment, the now. Okay, so let's take a curl. Simple, a simple thing that you're going to see in a gym, right? Curl. Okay, so you have number 8, and the face starts to do this. Right there is the teaching moment for us. Okay. And the biggest cue you will hear at IHP, the biggest cue is relax your face. Because it's the most simple thing that I can do to bring you into the moment. Why? By not responding. This is the first response to crisis. in the gym, which would be curls. My biceps are burning. I can't breathe. It's hard. So I start suffering already. But you're not at your end. You've already started suffering. Why are you suffering if you're not at the suffering stages? Because you've been trained to suffer. Why? Because everything in your past tells you that right now you can tolerate this, but what you're really responding to is 3 reps from now. Boy, if this is difficult, what's 3 reps going to do to me? And you know what? It doesn't do anything to you. So right then and there, the teaching moment is this. And we do this in every exercise, in every sprint, in every Versa climber hit. And when the person is sitting down, bending over and freaking out, this is what we tell them. Listen to me. You're not dying. You're just breathing heavy. You don't like it. You don't hate it. It doesn't hurt. It doesn't feel great. It is. This is what 140 steps on a Versa climber is per minute. This is what 10 reps with 10 pounds is. It just is. Okay? So the next set, you got the 10, right? You got the 10. Okay. The next set, I want the 10 with no drama. Your past conditioning is going to start knocking the door on 8. I'm going to remind you, we're going to count you down, but I want this to be relaxed. Okay? And here goes the set. Here comes the curls. And at 7, habits kicks in and they start to go, relax your face, count with me. Let's go, 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 go. Relax your face. You got 2 more. Relax, relax. We got 1. Boom. Now you take the dumbbells and the explanation. How was that? Every single time they'll say, wow, it was actually easier. They get better scores. Okay, why was it easier? Because you didn't use the past to sabotage the future. How? You never went into the past because you stayed in the present.
Yeah.
The past, okay, they say that the past casts a shadow on the present to ensure the future will not change. There you have it.
There you have it.
Your past teachings, especially those that hurt you, especially those that you carry. I don't care if it's a rape. I don't care if you were molested when you were a kid. I don't care if you were bullied. I don't care if your girlfriend left you and cheated on you when you were 13, your first girlfriend. I don't care what the trauma was. That is what happened to you. That is not who you are. That is your old story. It doesn't serve you anymore. So by staying in the present and not allowing yourself to go into past programming, you don't sabotage the future. And if that's not spiritual evolution, I don't know what is. And by the way, hard exercise, what is hard exercise? If you break it down into the most simplest terms, when you do hard exercise, Versa climber, 140 feet per minute, 136 feet per minute, bang, bang, bang. Or you're doing super legs, 84 reps in under 90 seconds for your legs. You're doing all that. You get, okay, so what is that called? Heavy breathing? Okay, what is that called? Go deeper. That's suffocation, man. You're not getting enough oxygen. And suffocation is the primal trigger for all animals. They will jump off of stories, 100 stories. They will jump off of cliffs. They'll put a bullet to their head just so they don't suffocate. Hard exercise is suffocation, my man. So what better stimulus that I can give you that ends up being beneficial, that is part of the environment, which is part of a gym, that you will do it voluntarily. You will actually push yourself harder and harder and harder in the hopes of getting better oxygen or VO2 and all that other good stuff, right? Look at that. Look at the environment. The environment is such where that's encouraged. It's voluntary. And now I got a method of spiritually allowing you to evolve using the very same thing that is acceptable in the environment that you go there for, you pay for. All right. And next time your kid is crying at 7 and you're tired, instead of hollering at them, relax your face. The next time you're going to judge somebody because you think they meant this or you think they think this of you, relax your face. And people start telling you, I was in traffic yesterday, man, and somebody cut me off. And, he starts hollering at me. I was going to give him the finger. And all I could think about was you telling me to relax the face. And I relaxed the face and I kept driving to work. And it actually works. So there you have it, my man.
There you have
That
it.
is the spirit emotional teaching methodology that the personal trainers at IHP use to change a professional's life, a kid's life, and an athlete's life. Because if you can stay in the moment,
Yeah.
you won't choke. You won't choke on that free throw. Or let's put it this way: I will greatly reduce the chances of you choking.
Yeah.
We're still human. We all have flaws and we're gonna fail at times. But the thing is not perfection. The thing is evolution.
Hmm.
I don't want perfection. I want constant evolution. And that means you have to fail.
We in church tonight, ladies and gentlemen. I love it.
Now you
All my
understand.
clients,
That's my church.
all my clients this week, when you doing those 80 burpees, when you breathing heavy, I'm gonna look at you and say, relax your face.
That's it. And watch it. It'll work. Now we found. Look, I come from combat, and I'm sure you got some combat experience at some point along your way, right? We used to not show emotions. We never said relax the face, but we said stone face. Because relax the face is too feminine for combat. Although there's nothing wrong with femininity, right? But it was too feminine for combat, so we had to give it this ugly name, stark face, robot face. Okay, we did it to not show emotions.
Right.
Little did we know that it has a neurological implication
Yeah.
because the mouthpieces came out in the mid 90s, early 90s. They were $2,500 at that time. And the mouthpieces were special mouth guards to bring your lower jaw forward to free up the mandible. And they suspected that the cranial nerve 11 and whatnot was occluded, and they could show that if you wore this, your squat went up, your bench press went up, all this. Okay, Manny Ramirez was wearing them. Let's put it this way: was marketing for them at that time, in 2000. And I was aware of them in 1995, 96, because my dentist was charging $2,500 for elite athletes. Under Armour then cut down the price to about 500. But what did the mouthpieces do? Brought the lower jaw down and forward. Relax your face and see where your jaw goes.
Hmm.
This is backing up.
Yeah.
This is forward and down. So just like cod liver oil, just like
Oh, I remember that.
apple cider vinegar, that our grandparents were doing.
Hmm.
Now in 2020, 2022, we have research that it helps with this and inflammation and joint lubrication and glucose metabolism and da 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 da. Da. How did they know about that? How many things were we coaching? How many things were we coaching accidentally that ended up being real, that were effective? Relax the face is nothing new, bro. I didn't invent it.
Right, right. They're laughing in the comments because I've been telling them for years, fix your face.
Well, there
They
you have
whine,
it.
they whine and complain about certain exercise, and I always tell them all the time, stop complaining, fix your face. Let's go.
So you already inherently did it
Yeah,
because there's something there.
yeah,
We're just giving it our own definition. We're giving it a philosophical philosophical structure and backing, and we're giving a methodology. This is how you do it. This is how you use it. This is what you say. This is what happens. This is what we hypothesize is happening, and it bears a lot of truth.
yeah. I want to get into some of the exercises that you guys do because I've got to experience IHP and but before I do, there was a question in the live chat I want to shoot your way. Ardit, he has a question, or she has a question, I'm not sure. Someone coming off a significant injury like an ACL tear, how long should they wait before beginning training again? And what exercises should be their bread and butter?
I had my ACL reconstructed, so I can tell you that there's weight bearing as inflammation and pain tolerance, because there's the caveat. You can do a lot of things as long as you don't cause inflammation and pain. And Ardit, by the way, is a very handsome, very nice young man. I happen to know him.
Okay.
Okay. Former trainer of IHP, and he's a solid dude. I love the guy. Thank you for the question, Ardit. But for example, open heart surgery, I'd also had both hips replaced, so I can speak with authority on time and everything. ACL, first thing that happens is as soon as you're off the anesthesia, they're walking you. Do you use a walker? Of course you use a walker, okay? Number one, you're groggy. Number two, you can't bear that much weight, but they want you weight bearing immediately. They also want you doing quad pumps. However, since there's the nerve innervation is interrupted because of the trauma of the surgery, the first time I had problems getting my quads back, which by the way are not even important, but I'll take the quads, okay? But the second time I used TENS unit. So I would use the TENS unit, and when I would voluntarily contract my quad, I would turn up the TENS unit. So that accelerated the mind muscle connection because the TENS unit is there. If you don't have a TENS unit, palpate your VMO or your quads when you're trying to squeeze them, and that will help too. The TENS unit is awesome because you don't not only feel it, but it actually helps you contract the muscle. And I got my quad activation, almost within a week. The first time it took me about 2 to 3 weeks to be able to quad pump hard. The second time, within a week, I was quad pumping, like locking my knee solid with that TENS unit. And then, of course, bread and butter are single leg balance. When you get to single leg balance, then mini pumps, which is a mini squat. You can hold onto a wall if you want. And then, of course, the single leg anterior reach is your money bag. When you do that, because really, there's misinformation. The quads are not important in knee rehab. Why? And they want you to VMO, activate the VMO because of patellar tracking. Listen, the quads don't control rotation, which is the most important aspect of knee rehabilitation. It's the first reason your ACL went to begin with, because you couldn't control rotation. The ones controlling rotations, believe it or not, are the hamstrings, because not only do they cross the knee joint, but they attach to each side of the tibia. And so that can control rotation. So that's why the anterior reach, which barely bends the knee, is so effective. Guys, forget the quads for a little bit. Concentrate on your hamstrings. They're the ones that propel you. They're the ones that work eccentrically to control the ground phase of running. It's your money bag exercise, the hamstring. So the anterior reach, then you eventually go to single leg squat. You can always get help from some kind of leg press and go single leg. Go single leg. Single leg training is less harmful to the body because you can't ego lift, and everything you do on double leg is to really improve single leg performance.
Right.
So even double leg jumping, you'll see it that it launches usually a lot of times off of one leg, and then the ankle stiffness, especially the gastroc that crosses the knee joint. So what crosses the knee joint? Okay, gastroc and hamstrings on both sides. What crosses the knee joint and connects to the other side bilaterally, which allows rotation, the gastroc and the hamstrings. So the gastroc is huge, and ankle stiffness is huge as well. So those are things that you can do that are relatively easy. They don't harm the body. Nobody's ever gotten hurt on a single leg squat unless they've gone crazy. Nobody's gotten hurt on an anterior reach, single leg squat, single leg press. You can't put 20 plates on it. And if you do a single leg press from the toes with your heel up, that's very, very running and jumping specific, forget it. It's impossible that you can even use enough weight to harm yourself. So those are my go-tos. Using the stability ball, all bridging. Start with 2 legs and eventually go to a single leg. Put the ball underneath your calf and eventually get it further out towards the foot. When you do your single leg bridging, your leg curls, and your hip lifts, make sure that you don't extend the knee, not because it's dangerous, because extending the knee is not dangerous, but because when you're running, the plant phase uses about a 10 degree, 15 degree knee flexion, and that's the little knee flexion that we keep to simulate the ground contact knee flexion that you use. So that's my way to get after the ACL. Thank you for the question, Ardit.
I've heard the arguments amongst trainers between some trainers will say the leg extension machine is a waste of time, or you shouldn't focus on that. Like, when in your life do you actually do the extensions and focus on the leg press and focus on squats and deadlifts? What are your views on that? How essential is the leg extension?
I think the leg extension, and you're talking to a guy who booed the leg extension in the early 90s to mid to late 90s. I was part of that crew. I was part of the closed chain, proprioceptively enriched functional training, choo-choo train. I was there, bro. I was there at the front with Vern Gambetta, Michael Clark, Greg Cook, Gary Gray. Those were my buddies. Those were my touring guys. Many lunches and dinners. So guilty. Okay. 20 years forward, I love the leg extension. Same thing with the Smith machine. I booed the Smith machine. I love the Smith machine because I was emotionally attached to the movement, because the functional training movement was such a refreshing movement. It was so necessary. But like everything new and everything effective and everything beautiful, you have the tendency to turn it into a hammer because it's your thing, baby, you know? And then when you have a hammer, the rest of the world becomes a nail. And even in great evolution, there's mistakes. And part of the mistake is that you forget about some of the things that you were doing that maybe were not as bad as you thought. So, for example, I have arthritis in both knees, and my left knee is just about. I'm at the last stages of replacement. I'm trying not to get it replaced, or if I am, maybe get it replaced close to 70. But it's acting up awful. Knee extension is the only thing that I can do to keep and leg curls to keep my legs toned up. Some days I can't even bike because I can't bring it up on the pedal, and I got to go heel on one side, toe on the other. Because when I go heel on the left side, I can point down at the upward range and forgive a little of the knee flexion necessary. So I think leg extensions are awesome if that's what you can do without pain. My mom has arthritis. She can't do knee extensions. So for people that have arthritis, you got to do what you can.
Yeah.
And pain is my traffic light. Okay? Pain, red light. No pain, green light. Okay? It's simple for me. So what can I do? I can push cars, and I can do knee extensions and leg curls. I can do deadlifts because I don't have knee flexion, but anything that flexes the knee under load, lunges and step-ups, forget it. Squatting, maybe above parallel, maybe. But I have to make it an ugly squat. In other words, it's got to be a combination of a deadlift or a good morning. It's got to be a combination of a good morning and a squat. We call them an ugly squat, and we have our fighters use it because they're in that ugly position a lot of times. So to answer your question, I love the knee extension for certain applications, and for certain applications, it's the only modality that'll work. I have clients that's the only thing they can do. If that's the only thing they can do, and they keep their legs strong, their bones strong, their tendons healthy, what are you going to tell me it's bad? No, man. No, we got on that train. We got to get off that train. If that was true, all bodybuilders would be crippled. And if that was true, Michael Jordan would have never dunked. Because all Michael Jordan did was bodybuilding and machines. Michael Jordan didn't do none of this functional training. So that wasn't even available when he was there. So it was just go, do your Nautilus, do your Universal, your Cybex, whatever was available. Boom, 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 and done. Easy. So no, you got to be very, very weary about people that tell you, for example, I don't know if you were going to ask this, but I'll bring it up. The knee over the toe. Well, that got a bad name a while ago, which I was never a fan of. And now there's some people that are proponents of knee over the toe training. And they credit the knee over the toe for allowing them to rehab 27 knee injuries and 57 surgeries and dunking and all that. And I go, bro, you better be careful. You better be careful when you pick up that hammer, because I want to show you something that's not a nail, and you're going to have a hard time dealing with it. So the knee over the toe is always healthy is not true. That's not true. It depends on what the application is. And more than the application, personal trainers and a lot of people talking this kind of stuff don't understand loading vectors. One of my strengths is math, and especially trigonometry and triangles and vectors. I eat that stuff up. I can see it in midair, right? What is the loading parameter? Because knee over the toe loaded from the top is not the same as knee over the toe loaded from behind or loaded from the front. Right. So where are you loading it from? How fast are you doing it? Why are you doing it? And for what? So back to the knee extension is awesome for a lot of applications. Be careful about making blanket statements, because all I got to do to show that you're incorrect is disprove you once.
Yeah. I see it all the time. You have another question. I love it. JC, I'm a big fan of yours. This is from Julio. What do you think is the biggest difference between trainers that make it in the industry versus those that can't make the cut?
The biggest is understanding what personal training is. Bro, personal training is now 1983, 85 was the first time ACE had something that had fitness instructor personal training. So let's give it 40 years. It's only 40 years old. We don't even know. We don't even know what the career is. We don't even know what the requirements are. How do I know that's a fact? Because a 4-year degree almost means a certain failure at IHP. How do you like that? How do you like that? And that's from 30 years now of hiring. I've got an international internship program where they have to do their last semester with me from all over the world. And I have a very, very good relationship with my alma mater, FAU. Julio is a graduate of FAU, okay? And so is Arded. And I got to tell you, the 4-year degree, when they come in, the first thing that has to happen is they got to forget about 3/4 of everything they learned.
Yeah.
Because they want to talk about ATP, they want to talk about glycolysis, they want to talk about electric transport system, white fibers, red fibers, fast twitch. I go, shut the heck up already, man. You don't even know how to talk to a woman who wants to drop 10 pounds after 2 children. You don't know what it is to talk to a 60-year-old guy who wants to golf with a handicap of 17. Okay? Oh, by the way, he has a rod on his back. And the doctor said that he would never play golf again. How do you talk to that guy? That 4-year degree doesn't help you. And as a matter of fact, doesn't even help you understand his condition, doesn't help you anything, because you don't use any of that. A 4-year degree prepares a professor. It does not prepare a personal trainer. Now, anybody who's been in the industry, here's your 2 scenarios. Let's say you have an 18-year-old. One goes into, I don't care, LA Fitness, Equinox, boom, boom, boom. The other one goes into Florida Atlantic University full-time, okay? Give them 5 years, because few people finish in 4 years straight. Give them 5 years. What do you think happens to that 4-year degree when he graduates and shows up at IHP versus the other one that worked 2 years at the Equinox, then went to a private training studio with a therapist and worked a year there, then went to Pete Barbarito and worked with some athletes and a year there, and then shows up at IHP with 3 different clinical experiences, all right? He had to go out and hunt some personal training clients. Who do you think I'm going to hire? Who do you think is going to stutter in that interview? And who do you think is going to go, I'm going, hey, look, you got this person. How are you going to train him? Okay, I'm a woman. Here I am. A woman. I've got 2 children. I want my body back. It's time for me. They're in school now. Or they're in pre-K. I got 2 or 3, 4 hours for me, and it's me time. I need to drop 10, 15 pounds. I need to feel human again. What, you want to talk to her about fast twitch? You want to warm her up for 10 minutes? You want to use the NASM protocol for warm up and blow 15 minutes out of a half hour? Go ahead. Do that. Do that. I want to see what happens. I want to see.
That used to upset me so much.
Bro, come on. How many street fights have you seen? Who warmed up? How many gazelles have you seen take off after the lion that's been hiding in the bush for 2 hours? All right. Who's pulled out of that with a pulled hamstring because of a bad warm up? Who? Nobody. Nobody. So you can warm up while you're working out. You warm up just like when you jog. You start walking, you walk 10 yards, and then you do a little something, and then little by little, and by the time you're half mile in, you're at your pace, rolling. Do your 2, 3, 4, 5 miles, whatever it is. Yeah. And that's how you warm up. You're starting to sweat. Our warm up is the wood chop. Chopper up and down for 10, rotations for 10, diagonal for 10, diagonal for 10. That's 40 reps 3 times. That's 120 reps. 4-pound ball, 6-pound ball. Let's go. Let's roll. By that time, your heart rate's up over 125. You're nice and warmed up. We're ready for anterior reaches, rotation, and one-arm press with a band. Boom. There's your first triplex, and we're rolling, and we're rolling. I'll kick your rear in half an hour. And that lady will be happy, and she'll know that I hear her, I feel her, and we're going to drop that weight. Now, young lady, now we're going to talk about your job, which is the other 165 hours out of this week. I got you for 3 hours. Oh, half hour? I'm sorry. I got you for what? It's 160 for 166 and a half. You got yourself for 166 and a half. I got you for an hour and a half. Who do you think is in charge of this process? Yeah. And don't you tell me that you did the diet that I'm going to give you and that you're gaining weight, because then we got to take your metabolism, take it to NASA so it could be tested. Because then you're using fusion like the sun. You're actually gaining weight when you're undercaloried. How the hell is that happening? So we got to see what your metabolism is like, because maybe we can build cars like you. So I tell her, so I don't want, I'm weighing you every Monday. I'm weighing you every Monday. I don't want to hear that you did the weight, that you did the diet and you're gaining weight, because that's impossible. So as soon as somebody like that gets in front of me, they're going to know that if they're coming to play, IHP is not a good place. Because in a very humble way, in a very nice way, they're going to be embarrassed.
Clients will tell you they are following the eating because they went on the eating program 2 days before the weigh-in.
Hey, I don't care. I don't care if you come in negative, because sooner or later that runs out. Yeah, they can dehydrate all Sunday. They can dehydrate Monday. They can take a laxative. They can cheat. Come on, bro. I was a weight class athlete for all of my life. I started with wrestling, ended up with Olympic weightlifting and judo. So I know what it is to dehydrate. I've lost 11 pounds in one day. I know what that's like. Okay, go ahead and do it the next day. And the next day, it catches up. Like Dice Man says, I'll wait. Congratulations on this Monday. Let's see what happens next Monday. Sooner or later, the bottom falls out. Mm-hmm. Want to know why? The reason I love fitness. The reason I love the physical evolution that happens in a gym. I don't care who you know, how much money you got. You're even, bro, because it teaches you a calorie is a calorie. It's not only 3,500 calories in a pound of fat for a poor person, but if you have money and influence, it's only 1,000. No, Papa, everybody's even. You're going to have to make the same sacrifice. I don't care if you're a man, woman, child, rich, poor, whatever, because it is a principle-driven evolution. Fitness teaches you about priorities, dedication, okay, perseverance, delayed gratification, respect, prioritizing. Those are all the values and characteristics that we're losing today. Yeah. How can you not love that? How can you not call a gym a church?
Discipline is like a lost virtue, man.
And what is discipline bathed in? What is discipline bathed in? Because Discipline without delayed gratification or ability, you lose the discipline.
Mm-hmm.
So discipline has to be bathed in prioritization. Okay. It has to be bathed in respect. It has to be bathed in consideration. It has to be bathed in delayed gratification. It has to be bathed in a lot of things. None of these things will live alone by themselves. They live in a consortium, in a consortium of principle. They're a consortium of principles, natural laws. You can't violate a natural law. Bad stuff happens. Values change. Principles do not.
Hmm. Hmm.
And our job is to try to align our values as close to principle as possible.
Yeah.
And everybody has their setbacks and we fall off the wagon every once in a while. But you know what? Like I teach all my children, you fall off the wagon, no problem. No problem. You make a mistake, no problem. Okay. Number one, admit it. Number two, make good with it through an apology or right the boom. And then number three, change your behavior to show that the apology was true. And the apology doesn't have to be a verbal apology. It could be a conscious apology to yourself, a conscious, yeah, I'm not doing that again.
Hmm.
A conscious reconciliation, if you will. That's the apology. Doesn't have to be, I'm sorry to anyone.
Right.
So that's all of that. What all we're talking about is IHP. This would be a trainer meeting at IHP. So my trainers are learning stuff that's not even that doesn't even come close in a 4-year degree or a 5-year degree or a doctorate. Because people have to understand that university education is also an indoctrination.
Hmm.
And the higher the level of indoctrination, believe it or not, the more myopic your world becomes. It's not the other way around. You think that the higher the PhDs, it opens up your spectrum. No, PhDs have very, very narrow scope of practice, scope of expertise. You take them 2 degrees to the right, and they're like, no, that's not my stuff.
Hmm. Hmm. You are preaching. You are giving life lessons, and artist said it right here. This man taught me more in 2 months than I did in the 4 years at college. Life lessons. These lessons can be. I told you all at the beginning. I told you all you were in for a treat. All right, gems, life lessons, and we haven't even tapped into a quarter of your experiences. Just a quarter. Wow, so much. So we're gonna take a break from the knowledge and go into a segment of the show where I ask my featured guests, JC, do
Yes,
you
sir.
know what time it is?
No, tell me what time it is.
You don't know what time it is?
Time? 9:50.
Tell him, yeah. It is. There it is. Color time. Color time. All right. This is color time. This is the portion of the show where I, the host, will go through a variety of different colors. So for each color that I present, you, the guest, will elaborate, will explain whatever comes to mind. It can be one word, it can be a short story, it can be philosophical, it can be spiritual, it can be logical, it can be funny. There is no right or wrong answer. It's
All
whatever
right,
that color means to you at that time.
brother. I've never played this, so you're getting ready to stomp me because I'm like,
So we'll start. I'll give you a small example. I may say the color brown. One featured guest may say it reminds me of dog poop.
right.
Another guest may say brown. I love brown. It reminds me of my complexion. It reminds me of chocolate. It's your views. There is
All
no
right,
right or wrong answer. You ready?
go.
Here we go. Color number one. And feel free in the comments if you have any ideas of any fancy colors. Leave them in the comments. Here we go. Color number one, lavender.
Soft smell, a good fragrance. Yeah. Incense.
Mm, okay. I smell those now.
Yeah, oils. I have them here.
Every time that my girl is over, I can tell because as I get to the front door, my
Yep.
house smells different.
Yeah.
So I already know. All right. Color number two. Let's go with one of my favorite colors, fire engine red.
Fast. Speed. Speed. Energy. Fuel.
Mm, all right. Color number three. Let's go with off white.
Not sure. And I'm not sure. Off white is not sure. Doubt. Because it's not white. It's not beige. It doesn't know what it is.
I don't know what color that is. All right.
Now,
Nice.
if you would have said ivory, which is an off white, that would have conjured up different things. But that's all right. Let's go.
Yeah. All right. They got one in the chat. Let's use that one. Mustard yellow.
Bitter. Hot dogs. That's it's hot dogs. And although they can be in burgers, some reason it doesn't remind me of burgers. It reminds me of that sharp hot dog thing that you bite into.
All right. We got two more. Two more. Let's go with fuchsia.
Fuchsia, that's like a reddish, right?
A
Confusion.
purplish.
Fuchsia is confusion. Yes, for sure, confusion. Because fuchsia had other names, and it's a combination of two colors, and it's like a red and a something else, right? Like a red and a blue type of
A
thing. It's
purplish
yeah,
reddish.
purple. Yeah, it's like indescriptive, confused. Fuchsia is confused. It's a new name for a confused color.
Too funny. Final color. This is an interesting color because people have contrasting views of this
Mhm.
color. So let's see. Gray.
I would say gloomy, although my girlfriend got me into gray because it's trending, and so IHP is gray. So it's not gloomy, but traditionally I would have said gloomy because I relate it to gray clouds.
Hmm.
It's since taken on a new meaning for me, which is classy,
Mm.
because my house back here, gray. If you look throughout, the tones are gray, and IHP is gray and black. And everybody says, wow, clean, classy. So in the old days, I would have said gloomy because I associated it with
With the
clouds.
clouds, rain.
Now it's taken on a new meaning of cool and clean and classy. And I thank my girlfriend for that.
I
My
like that.
fiance, by the way, not girlfriend, soon to be wife.
Hey.
I introduce her as my wife to many people anyway. So.
You notice that friends and family already start saying wife. And you're like,
I mean, I go, my wife. Because fiance is like, so you're not sure? No, we're sure. We're getting married this year. So I just jumped to it.
I think fiance is cute like the first month,
Yeah, yeah.
and then it kind of goes away. It's like,
Yeah, and
okay,
I'm too old for fiance, man. I'm 62 years old. So it's either you're single or you're married. You know, fiance, like you're gray in transition. No, man. You're fuchsia. You're confused. So no, man. It's my girl.
too funny. I love it. I love it. I'm gonna take a little bit twist before we get into the experiences. Um, this is kind of like a two-part question. I just want to kind of see what comes out. So, what one color would describe your past? And then what one color would describe your future?
Red, my past. Just a lot of energy. A lot of energy. The future, I'm starting to dig that gray, man. Classy and clean, not too fast, just clean, easy. I would say a light blue or something like that, but no, I'm starting to dig the gray, man. She's made a believer out of me. I got to tell you that gray calms you down. The red excites you, and that was my last, especially the first 32 years of my life. I toured with a band. I had a bar, and if it wouldn't have been for my son Rio, who's now 31, I'm not sure if I would be even alive, man. Because being a father grounded me.
Mm-hmm.
As Jordan Peterson says, it's better to have meaning than money.
Mm.
It's better
Absolutely.
to have meaning than a career.
Mm.
you know, and Rio gave me meaning.
Mm.
So I owned a bar when I had Rio, and the first question you ask is, so what do I want for this young man to be the youngest bartender in town?
Mm.
So what's going to be his cute trick? At 5, he's going to be able to make a screwdriver?
Mm.
No, 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 no. I'm out of here. And I
Mm.
went bankrupt. I went belly up on the bar. Went back to school and shredded. I never looked back since.
Mm. Kids are life changing.
I was having a talk with my youngest son on Sunday and a client today. Kids will do that to a responsible parent because I know parents that 3 kids hasn't changed them. They're still in the booby bars. They're still doing drugs. They're still drinking, getting DUIs. It's like, bro, are you kidding me? You're a father. Are
Yeah.
you kidding me? And moms too. And moms too. So if you're a good human being, if you're a good father, like I told my son, the love of a parent supersedes the stupidity of a child.
Mm-hmm.
So no matter what you tell me, no matter how much you say you hate me, nothing, I will be here. Because I know one day you won't feel that way. Because I won't deserve for you to feel that way. Why? Because I'll be here quietly and patiently waiting.
Mm.
And only a parent can feel that.
Yeah. 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 My son is 5, and I really feel like prior to me being a father, I was an idiot.
Yeah, I
And
mean, you
but
were
it's all learning,
you were
right? It's
living the
all
life, bro. You were living the life. I mean,
yeah, definitely.
you're a gangster. You're 25 years old. Ain't nobody telling you can't get in that club. What are you talking about? I can't get in the club. I got X amount of money in my pocket. I got some other stuff in this pocket, and I'm King Dingling. Don't you know who I am? And you would get in the club, you and your friends.
Mm-hmm.
You're at 25. You're a miracle worker when you got a little charisma and a little money. But now, in retrospect, you're like, ooh, Jesus, I was an idiot. Yeah, but
Yeah. Yeah. Then I swore that I knew it all. But now
you
looking back,
did. You knew all of nothing. You knew it all. You knew all of the meaningless stuff. You knew it all. You were right. You didn't know all that you needed to know.
yeah,
Now you look at it and you go, ooh, yikes.
yeah,
But like you said, if you don't go through that, you're not the man you are today.
absolutely. Absolutely.
I've made some big mistakes in my life, and I tell everybody, you can't have the biggest comeback in your life unless you have the biggest fall in your life.
Yeah.
Because the comeback is the measurement of the sine wave from the bottom of the wave to the peak of the wave. It's not the middle, it's from the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
If all you live is excellence up top, there's no dynamic nature to your evolution.
You're not living.
I mean, you can make money, you can be born into money, and you can be in the yacht, but when you sit down to have a long, deep conversation from experience, what are you going to experience, bro? You haven't experienced hardship. And that's the biggest lesson of all. You haven't experienced hardship. Have you experienced death, divorce, hurting somebody terribly, terribly because of stupid decisions, bankruptcy? Have you lost your business? You know, have you gotten yourself in such bad situations where you've been threatened with your life, or you thought that you were going to lose your life,
Mm-hmm.
where you start to make deals with God, that God you don't believe in? If you haven't been there, you can't speak from wisdom. What wisdom? Wisdom of having $1 million? Wisdom of owning 3 yachts? No, man, that's not wisdom. That's conversation.
I love it. Let's dive into two perspectives here. Where's the two? There we go. Two perspectives. Your perspective as an athlete, and then your perspective as a coach. And they can blend because I know you were also coaching while also being a athlete. So just dive us into the mind of you as an athlete first.
An athlete is a myopic view
Hmm.
because you have to be myopic. You see the world from only your point of view. Okay, so you learn your diet. You don't learn what works for the other guy. You don't waste your time on that. Your diet, your technique. If you're tall, you learn how to fight tall. If you're short, you learn how to fight short. So you learn the world through your eyes. A coach has a broad perspective. And that is the reason that most great coaches were mediocre at best athletes.
Ooh.
Show me one coach in the Coaches Hall of Fame that was an excellent, excellent Heisman Trophy or better yet, most valuable player in any league. It's hard. You may come up with one, but go to the Coaches Hall of Fame and you'll see a bunch of mediocre athletes that were awesome coaches. Of course, Vince Lombardi. What does Vince Lombardi do? What did Don Shula do? What did Mike Ditka do? What did any of those guys do? What did they do in sports? And you'll see that they didn't do anything great.
They're decent.
They were okay. They were middle of the road in the in wherever. Now you have Larry Bird. You have Isaiah Thomas. You have these guys that were coaches and very good players. Very good players. I mean, good Hall of Fame players.
Yeah.
But the truth is, how good a coach are they? They're good coaches. I'm not saying they're bad coaches, but do they compare to the Hall of Fame coaches? And you'll see that they don't. They're not in the top 10 anywhere. Why? Because when you spend your life being an elite athlete, you have a myopic look at the world. You have to. That's what makes you an elite athlete. Let's see if Tom Brady will ever be a coach. And I bet you he will not excel in coaching because he hasn't spent enough time coaching. If you spend 30 years, 20 years, 15 years, your best years, okay, learning the world through only a myopic, you don't have enough depth and backgrounds how to inspire people, how to coach different personalities, how to manage the administrative component, how to select your coaches, your coaching staff, how to negotiate with management. Those are all parts of things that allow a coach to be a great coach. When Vince Lombardi was down during halftime, did he talk about football? No. He talked about, gentlemen, what are you going to tell your grandchildren? And he walked in with 52 lambs into the locker rooms and came out in 20 minutes with 52 lions. What did he say? And it wasn't football. And the same thing goes for all the other coaches. So me as an athlete, I learned how to be a good athlete. I was a good athlete and I was a dedicated athlete. I was a hard worker. I did my homework and you didn't have to chase me down to train. I was mediocre. And I spent more time coaching than I did pursuing the Olympics because I wasn't that good. I wasn't good enough for the national championships. I wasn't good enough for the Olympics and I knew it. So I got the most that I could. And then
why do you think?
I didn't have the physical prowess. For example, I was a weight class athlete. I had to go down to 142 pounds from almost 217 of trying to play football for the University of Miami under Howard Schnellenberger. And when Jim Kelly was the quarterback, I tried for the University of Miami. I went in at 217, ran a 4.8, which is what they wanted me to do. I did it. And I was 20 at the time, so it was too late to even be redshirted. Then I dropped down to 154 to fight welterweight again because I was fighting 160 prior, middleweight. Even at middleweight, at 160, I'm 5'9". I got a 69 reach. I'm going up against the Tommy Hearns of the world. 6'3", 6'2". Man, I can't get in on that. I can't get in on that. I never had this incredible VO2, this prowess to run. So I was a good athlete. I was a pretty good athlete. I would say state caliber, maybe top 20, top 10 national caliber. And that's it. That's it. In all honesty, that was it. I just don't have the physical prowess that some of these young men had. And I didn't have the background. I didn't start wrestling at 8. I took up wrestling at 15. So I'm lucky I took a third in the state, and I was as good as I was. I had 11 scholarships, turned them all down to study medicine, yada, yada, yada. So I made headway in 3 years pretty fast. So that shows you the kind of dedication that I had.
Right.
But even still, man, I mean, I was sucking weight, and people, and some of these guys were making weight because they were 6%. They walked around at 6% body fat. They're eating McDonald's, making weight, and they're 6'1", 159 pounders, 6'1", with 74-inch reach. How the hell am I going to get on that? And yeah, I beat some of them. I beat many of them, but not at the elite level. That stuff catches up on you. So I turned more to studying the sports, studying biomechanics. I was an engineer. So math comes easy, vectors come easy, that triangle and geometry comes easy. So I can spin the body in 3 dimensions and know exactly where it's getting loaded, different things. I love it because your love also dictates your aptitude.
Yeah.
So I think I'm a much better coach than I was an athlete. I was a decent athlete, but I'm a much better coach, much better. And I'm a very good coach because I wasn't that good of an athlete.
That's interesting. I feel that Kobe, rest in peace, and like LeBron had the potential to be, really good coaches just because of the way that they see the game.
But you can't see the game. A coach doesn't see the game. Vince Lombardi didn't talk about football at halftime. Vince Lombardi didn't know as much about football as he knew about men. And I will respectfully disagree. I don't think LeBron James will ever be a good coach. Arguably, if not one of the best basketball players that's ever laced up a pair of shoes. But I don't think he communicates with teammates and has the ability to adapt to different personalities and bring life wisdom. That wisdom that your grandfather dropped, that Einstein drops on you. Simple words that you go, holy Jesus, that was deep. And they can do it with a sentence, change your life with a sentence. You need that for a good coach. The offensive, defensive coordinators, they take care of the game, man. The coach has to know players, the dynamic of humanity, and be able to simultaneously communicate at different levels. He has to be omnipresent and omnipotent. That's what a coach has to be. The rest is a technician. And you'll never get the buy-in of the players where they're ready to throw their body on a grenade for that guy. I think LeBron, as good as he is, I don't think his personality kind of conjures that. There's going to be people who resent him and will not do what he says, just out of spite for whatever reason. Lombardi didn't have that. Riley didn't have that, and they were strong personalities. And somehow they had the ability to even if they weren't liked, they had the ability to have this energy that people would follow. Would follow in the way they wanted it follow. But they had the ability for you to want to follow it. That's the thing. If I tell you to do something and you're doing it over oppression is one thing. But if I tell you to do something and I tell you and it inspires you to do it, that's coaching.
Yeah.
That's coaching.
Yeah.
So I have more of that ability than I have physical prowess. And I get that from my mom. I get that from my mom. Many people call me like And I call myself that as well. I'm an ambassador. You can send me anywhere. You can send me anywhere. And there's times that I'll come back and go, all right, it's time to drop the bomb. Because if I'm dealing with an irrational person, then I know there's no talk. But if there's communication to be had, I'm in a good space. Because if you let me talk, we're going to get along. We're going to get along. If you let me chat and you're willing to engage with me, we're going to get along because I will find something that you like and I will find a way that you understand things and I'll speak to you along that level and we're going to get along. We're going to understand each other.
On that same note, has there ever been a client or clients where took the joy out of what you do, and how did you deal with that?
Yes, many times, and I have clients that sometimes it's like this is the hardest hour of the week. Yeah, we've all had those, baby. Mm-hmm. That's when your coaching gets tested. That's when your coaching gets tested, my man. Because if you're an ambassador, that's when ambassadorship is needed. When everybody's friends, shit, you don't need an ambassador. We're just talking. But when there's conflict and there's differences of energy, that's when you need an ambassador to bring kind of everything together and kind of mold it into one soft sphere so everybody can get along in there. Yeah. And I remind myself, why did you get into this field? Who are you to give up? Who are you to give up? You want to give up? Maybe. Yeah, this person is miserable. Yes, they are. But maybe you're the most joy they have in the week. Did you ever think of that? Why did you get into the field? To improve humanity, to leave this world a little better than you found it. How are you going to leave this person, man or woman, a little better than you found them if you quit on them because they're not to your liking? Are you true? Are you true to the words you speak? I ask myself that question.
And I feel guilty now.
And instantly, I find the right topic. I try to find the right phrase. Yeah. And at the very least, if I can't bring them out of their funk, I put my arm on their shoulder around them and I walk them out when they're leaving. Hey, have a good day. All right? All right. Things will get better. Are you true to the words you speak? Or are you a hypocrite like the rest of the people that you criticize? You know, when you point your finger, don't look at this one. Look at these three.
Yeah.
They're pointing right back at you, bro.
Right back. Yeah. Yeah. It's
do what you say you're gonna do. That's what I tell my children. Give me the best advice you can. Do what you say you're gonna do. If you say I'm gonna help you, I'm here for you, then who are you who are you to pass judgment and say I'm firing you as my client because you don't try hard enough, because you're a miserable person and you mess up my day. Oh my goodness. You shouldn't even be a trainer, bro.
Is there a level that you would have to drop them? Is there a certain point?
I don't know, but I haven't found it yet. Okay. In 30 years of training, I haven't found it yet. I haven't fired anybody. Now, if they tell me, you know, you're this program is not working, and you know, I don't think you're the trainer for me, that's different. Then we agree to disagree, and I wish you the best. But for me to come to somebody and say, you know, you're a very miserable person, and I don't deal with misery, and I don't deal with miserable people, never, ever, ever, ever. I've never even told anybody you're a miserable person, and they have been. Because how are you going to make a miserable person better by telling them they're a miserable person?
Sure.
Do what you say you're going to do, man. You know?
Yeah. Life lessons, man. How can people get in contact with you for more questions? If they want to come visit the
Institute.
State of the art, yes. Facility.
I'm an easy man to find because my son, thank you to my boy, I'm all over social media. Juan Carlos Santana, Institute of Human Performance. I'll come up on Twitter, Instagram, Titagram, Putagram, MySpace, your space, their space, TikTok, 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 all of that. I'm all over the place. But JCS at ihpfit.com is my email. JCS at ihpfit.com. Fire away. I'm always there. And then from then, depending on the conversation, I just may give you my phone and we continue the conversation. Like I
May.
said, I'm an easy man to
May.
find. Excuse me?
No, I said may. He may give you his
Hey.
phone.
Yeah, because, you don't want your phone all over God's country because, there's a lot of different people out there. And, I want to make sure that the people receiving my phone are vetted,
Yes.
as they should be by everybody.
In closing, I love highlighting stories. I love highlighting goals and accomplishments. We also have to be real, and there is reality, and there is life. Life happens. So, can you briefly speak about a dark place in your life? It could be mentally, it could be with money, financially, however, that you had to overcome. Because in this current state, things are not the norm. Things are kind of everywhere. So you just never know who is listening here tonight.
Yeah, I mean, I've had two dark places in my life. The first one was when I went bankrupt on my first business, which was a bar. After 2.5 years, I went bankrupt. So you have to deal with the failure, failing the investors, failing yourself. Needless to say, I owned a bar. I drank every day, partied every day, didn't sleep for 2.5 years. So your physical immune system, I was getting sick and everything. Didn't have anything. I had real and like, oh my God, So I was in a dark space there, and I got out of it by going back to school, getting my degrees and raising my son. Okay. Fast forward 20 years, I had a divorce that ended up in a way that I didn't want it to end up. I made some serious errors. Obviously it takes two to tango, and everybody has their role to play in the failure of a marriage. But I take my role very seriously, and I don't even pay attention to anybody else's role. And so I know the things that I did, and they hurt people that were innocent, my children, my ex-wife, and that was extremely hard for me because I hurt people that I love. My stupidity, my weakness. I was tired, I was confused, did stupid stuff, and it ended up in a divorce of a 18-year marriage. And that was a very, very, very dark spot for me. And so that took time to heal. And those were the two. I've had other dark spots, but those two were the big ones.
Yeah.
And I admitted my faults. The first thing that I did was admit my faults, apologize to everybody that I had to apologize to, and then change my behavior over time. I went to therapy and all kinds of good stuff, and good things ensued from that. And I'm not happy of how it came about, but I understand now that it was the best for the people involved.
Yeah.
Because looking at it now, 12 years ago, nobody would have been happy now. So I understand that it was a thing that had to happen.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just not happy as to how I handled it. But the fact that I handled it, that what I did was so egregious, okay, I had to come back from that. I had to learn from that.
Yeah.
I had to learn what the mistakes were, why I made the mistakes, how not to make the mistakes. And today in my gym, I was talking to one of the therapists that I went to, and we were recollecting about 8 years ago the workshop that I was in with him and all that stuff. So yeah, man, I look, I'm very much human, and sometimes at 1 or 2 o'clock, I have that little guy that sits here, that wants to tell me what a terrible father I am, what a failure I am, like all of us. I have that demon. I have that little animal, that little devil that wants to sit and put me down inject doubt into my mind, I have that. And, thank God it's not often, but he shows up. And I have to breathe and say, you know, let him talk, but that's your little you. That's your old story. That's your little you. That's not you.
Yeah.
So I want everybody who's listening to this that has dark moments, even little miniature dark moments at night when you're going to sleep or alone, and you're thinking less of yourself. That's not who you are. That's just your little guy talking. Let him talk. Let him talk, but don't let him move you. Don't let him sway you out of your center, out of your path. The path that allows you to do what you say you're going to do. Back to the same thing, back to the same principle. So yes, I've had those two big dark moments, and I've come back from them. Financial, yeah. I mean, Corona sucked. Corona sucked. I had to go into debt with the government to save my gym. But you're gonna have to carry me out of that gym in a pine box, because that gym ain't going down, not if I'm alive.
Right.
It's my church, it's my son's church, it's my family's legacy, and it's how I've chosen to make this world a better place. Period.
Growth is uncomfortable,
Sure.
but it's necessary.
Yes, sir. Yeah. Discomfort is the impetus and catalyst for evolution. There is no evolution without challenges. What are you evolving from? If there's nothing to evolve from, you're in dead space. There's no reference.
Yeah.
How do you know you're better? Better according to what? Better from what? When you recollect, wow, remember? What are you remembering? You're remembering the low spots. Without that, there's no reference for success. And the lower the low spot, the sweeter the taste of the evolution, the success. Because then your life has meaning. And the reason you evolve is because there's meaning. Meaning is the strength that allows you to evolve. If there's no meaning, you shoot yourself in the head, man, or you stay down and you become a drug addict, or you become homeless, because there's no meaning. Meaning is the fuel of evolution, man. That's the fuel of the comeback.
I tell people all the time, it's never in vain. All the heartaches and all the struggles and all the dark seasons.
Well, the only time it becomes in vain is if you don't evolve.
If you stay there, yeah.
Back to the evolution.
Yeah.
Back to here.
Yeah.
So
don't stay there. Don't stay there, man.
And what we were going to talk about fitness? Where the heck? What was the fitness again? Oh yeah, exercise. Yeah.
I had all these questions.
I thought we talked about ACL.
Yeah.
And that was it. And what, leg extensions?
Leg extensions. The mind of an athlete, and that was it. But life lessons. This was necessary, and I always feel that each guest, I feel like God knows exactly where to place each guest, what slot, what date. So you were supposed to come on episode 62.
Yeah, the 22nd.
Yes.
And that's my anniversary.
Yeah.
And so, I got to honor my girl.
Yeah.
And what if this was your first episode? Because fitness is a spiritual process. Mm-hmm. And now the rest of your guests can go into different areas of expertise, mm-hmm. and in different channels of fitness. But globally, the way you become fit is through a principle-based spiritual evolution. And that's what this was. So now that we have that global macro look to it, the rest of your guests can focus on aerobic training, fighting, tennis, nutrition, what have you, because they're all important components,
Mhm.
of the process. They're tools of the process. But make no mistake, the evolution that makes fitness possible is a spiritual transformation.
Mm.
100%.
Mm.
We just get lost in the physical.
Yeah.
That's secondary.
It's all spiritual, baby.
You
Even
know,
this pandemic is spiritual.
or it's forced you it's forced you to look at more. That's for sure. It's forced you to look at more. Am I being lied to? Am I being manipulated? Am I ready for this? Does it exist? Yes, it exists. Okay, so how do I best combat it? You know, should I take vitamins? How bad is the diabetes for this? Oh, maybe I should take care of my diabetes because it seems that people with diabetes are really, really in trouble. Maybe I shouldn't smoke with people with compromised lung function. They get it too, real quick. So maybe, oh, and obese people. So maybe I shouldn't stop smoking, lose some weight, and check out that glucose monitor a few more times, and maybe get on, on some medication, or better yet, get on a diet and get my blood glucose under control. Maybe,
Just maybe.
because all three things will impact how you respond to any virus. And don't think because Corona stopped, you don't have all the others. All the others.
Yes, yeah.
My father died last year. You know what got him in trouble? It wasn't Corona. E. coli. Yeah,
Mm.
that bacterial infection, that's some food poisoning, bad food, E. coli. But he was 91 and he was diabetic for 40 years, and he had prostate cancer. He was in a weakened immune state, and E. coli took him out. Now, do you hear about E. coli? No, you don't hear about E. coli. E. coli took him out. E.
Wow.
coli put him in the hospital, and that was the beginning of the end. 4 weeks later, he was dead. So it's not only COVID, guys. It's
Yeah.
not only COVID. There's in the doorknobs that you touch every day, there's deadly stuff there. So you better take care of yourself. Better take care of yourself. And it doesn't mean you wash your hands and wear a mask. No, take care of yourself. Because
And
this,
this. And this.
yeah, this is called auto inoculation. This is the way we bring pathogens, small amounts of pathogens into our system so the immune system can spar and can stay sharp. And sometimes you sneeze and you get a little sneezing attack, or you get something that's like kind of allergies for a day or two, and it goes away. That's your immune system kicking it in the butt.
Yeah.
So every time I sneeze, every time I get a little sore throat and it goes away, I'm going, yeah, baby, you got it. Knockout. Because I can feel my immune system responding.
Yeah.
You got to keep it in shape.
Yeah.
What happens to the astronauts when they come down? They just don't let them go into the population. Why? Because they're immune compromised.
Mm.
Because they're in a zero pathogen, zero bacteria environment. So they got to get acclimated back to the real world. Now, they might have now injections or things that can expedite that, or who knows, they may be getting some treatment out in outer space, in the food or injections or tonics that they're drinking, whatever, that kind of introduces some pathogens to keep them going. So when they get back here, they don't have to stay in isolation for whatever,
Right.
14 days or what have you, quarantine.
Mm.
But, two things happen: immune compromising, and because of the zero gravity, bone mineralization goes way down.
Mm.
So they begin the osteoporotic process because of
Wow.
the zero gravity.
Yeah. Hmm.
So take a lesson from that, guys. A little bacteria, babies. Why do you think they bring everything to their mouth? Because they want to taste it? No, it's their way. It's their way of getting inoculated to all the crap that's out there. You know. So
You heard that, people? So you can eat some leaves with your kids. Eat some rocks. Get
well,
some
yeah,
dirt.
don't freak out when your kid drops his baba on the floor and then puts it in his mouth. Yeah, I'm not saying that to encourage it or anything, but let nature take its course. They're going to do what they do. So don't
Yeah.
be a freak.
Yeah. You see the even with the hand sanitizer. And I am guilty, but sometimes I have to catch myself like, wait a minute. I just used hand sanitizer 3 times in the space of a half an hour. Like, okay.
Yeah, my girl, we go to Publix, and she always takes the rag off the thing and does this. I go, and yeah, and then you're going to handle packages that three people handle before they put it on the shelf, and like the shelves are clean, right? What? I go, no, no.
Yeah. Yeah.
You
All
know,
of it. Like, what are you gonna
can't,
do?
can't escape the world, baby.
Nah, I gotta live life. Man, I almost don't want to go, but because there's so much. Um, it's so much, so much. So maybe, no pressure. Maybe we may have to bring JC back in the future.
Hey, brother,
Maybe.
I'm always hip on sharing experiences, and just by talking to you, I learn. You know, the questions you ask, I learn. People say, "How do you learn?" You know how I learn? I learn teaching you.
Hmm,
Because if you want to know a subject, teach it. If you
hmm,
want to know a subject, answer the question. Because in order to formulate an answer, you got to organize all that stuff into meaningful parts. Meaningful parts. So give a presentation of something you don't know about and see what happens.
oh yeah.
Yeah, that's what happens.
Oh yeah.
So all these exchanges, the way you phrase your questions, the things you think about, your hand gestures, your energy, that enriches anybody that you touch. So I found this extremely enlightening and fun and evolutionary. Every time
Ooh,
I do an exchange like this with another good person of good energy, it's a beautiful thing, man. Beautiful products come from that.
much appreciated. No pressure, but you got people in the chat. They can listen to you all night. Part two, three, and four.
Let's go. Anytime you need me, I'm here, Blaze. Anytime you need me, I'm here, man.
I love it. I love it. For those watching, you can catch the replay, the video replay, as soon as we end this on YouTube. Tomorrow, the audio version will be available on all major streaming platforms, your Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, so on and so forth. And stay tuned with the rest of this month. We have interesting guests from football athletes to mixed martial arts athletes to basketball, golf, soccer, all sorts. And then we end off the month with some CrossFit athletes. So a lot of variety this month, all about athletes and coaches. And you just might get some life lessons. You just might. So pay attention. Thank you again, JC. It was a honor having you on the podcast. Look at this. I found
Oh my God. Yeah.
and
Yeah. You have it upside down.
look at me. Terrible.
There you go.
Yeah. I found some pictures, DVDs and notes and all types of stuff. I said, look at this. Full circle. You just never know.
Yes, sir. I'll
Right?
go again.
So, appreciate you. Thank you all for all my listeners and keep going. All right. It's yes. No matter how dark it is right now, get back up. All right. Relax your face. Fix your face. Fix your damn face. And keep going. Your journey is not done. Your story, there's more. There's more you can add to your story. And other people are counting on you to get through the jungle, to get through those dark times, so you can help them in the future. It's never in vain. As I always say, this was the Blaze the Lion podcast. Peace and love.